Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's happy hour. I'm so happy to be with you all. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Got everybody on. Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome. We are live for happy hour today. Very excited to be with you. Um, so today's question of the day is, what is your favorite or most frequently used app on your phone? So what's your go-to phone app? What is it? What is your favorite go-to phone app? Would love to hear from all of you. Welcome. Happy March, almost over. What is your go-to phone app? So what do you love to use on your phone? Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay. Josh uses LinkedIn. Doesn't have to be for work, could be personal as well. So happy hour. Happy to host you all. Such a big day today. We were featured in the Chronicle of Philanthropy. That was really nice. Maybe Ashley will link the article for us. Okay. On your phone, you read books. Wow. Too small of a screen for me. So, oh, Lindsay, congratulations. Mazel, mazel. You're expecting. Congratulations. Okay, Josh now gets honest with with New York Jets. Arigale is Candy Crush. Michael says, work ever true home cribbage. Anna says, shop kick. Shop kick. Very nice. I've never used Shopkick. You know, my usual my I used I'm organized, so I have them all organized in folders. Um, but I used to travel used to be my number one, and now it's not. Now I just WhatsApp is for me. I spend a lot of time on WhatsApp because I live overseas, and so we don't use text because everybody's on Wi-Fi. So WhatsApp is where I spend a lot of my life. So here we go. WhatsApp is it for me. Oh, Ashley says camera because she's got cute kids. So um, yeah, awesome. So today was a big day. It's always a big day when the Chronicle of Philanthropy comes knocking and they feature our work, and I'm just so humbled. I can't have TikTok on my phone. I will stay up all night and watch TikTok videos. Not that I don't watch reels or Facebook videos, but I have enough TikTok, and I can't. I have enough temptation in my life. I can't have that as well. So, how's everybody doing? How's your March going? What kind of fundraising questions and what do you want to chat about? And I love talking fundraising. We did some traveling. We're going to do some traveling again. We're headed to Houston next. Well, first, I'm stopping in Tampa to do the YMCA NATO conference, which I love. Love. But y'all, we did a hybrid conference. Our friends at Wired Production Group made us look like such professionals in Chicago. And we had people in person, we had a couple hundred people online, and it went so well. I was just pleased as punch. And this is why you hire professionals and you partner with really good people, because they made us look so good. And we have some video hero content coming up. So we'll be in Houston soon. Yeah, Bev, I'm going to be at NATO, going to NATO first, and then headed to Houston. And in Houston, we're doing our new content for donor experience. And then we're having our big business meeting that we have twice a year to come up with new stuff. Oh, Holly, you said the Chicago hybrid event was flawless. Oh, Thank you so much. That means a lot because we had never done hybrid before, and I was very adamant that if we were going to do it, we were going to hire and partner with the best people at Wired Production Group. Ron and his team are buku amazeballs, and Ashley held it down. Like, it took two of us on chat. I mean, it took a village, and we're so grateful that we've gotten such great reviews. So to that point, Erica, yes, we are going to consider hosting a hybrid conference for 4 Pillars of DX. It won't be like soon, but maybe towards the end of the year or either in 2023. You got to give mama some time to recover. Travel these days is not for the faint of heart. We were not poised at all. And many of them are brilliant. I am not, but the good reviews make just the world of difference. And I hope it was affordable content for you all and that you enjoyed it. So thanks. Alex says, today is our day of giving, raising funds for an endowed DE&I scholarship. Oh, wonderful. That's, we've got to do more in that space. I was just, reading a report from CC&S Philanthropy, and it sounds like we're doing a lot of lip service to DE&I, but not really changing our fundraising behavior. Argale, I just did a mini recap of the DE&I lens session. That I did at Case District 4, and it really resonated with my colleagues. So our interim VP asked me to discuss it again in our DOD staff meeting. Yeah, I'm very humbled. We are doing a lot of DE&I content, and it is really, really resonating with folks. And we're starting to gain a lot of steam around it. I will say we have a long way to go. But like Ohio State University put together this amazing document about what they're doing. And they had me come to a meeting, and we are really working on it. So I'm excited to hear that. And if you want me to come chat with your group, let me know. But I'm doing DE&I for Case All Districts too. So some of you will be able to see that. And so I'm excited. I'm also excited because my Lady Gamecocks, they're not Lady Game, but my Gamecock women's basketball team is in the Final Four. So they're going to compete this weekend against Louisville and hopefully win a national championship. March Madness is always one of my favorite times of the year. So if you're following along and you have a bracket or you're doing a bracket redo, here's 2 cheers to my Gamecocks. So if you vote against them, that's me sticking my tongue out at you. So what can I help with? What do you need from me? I've got my team here. What can we do for you? How can I help? What's news in your world? I mean, there's been a lot of news this week. I feel like it's Wednesday and some of us are just exhausted, but we're checking on through. When it rains, it pours, and I've got my umbrella. So I'm just... Gosh, Holly, you made my day. You know what else made my day? We did a call for okay, I won't tell you what just dropped on the floor, but we did a call for in-person samples, like print samples, and you all sent so many amazing samples, but also, frankly, in each and every one of them were these amazing notes. Like, this note made me bawl cry. It was so good, from April, and everybody would send me, and my team started calling them love notes. So we took out all the love notes, and I kept each and every one of them. And not only the samples that you sent, but I just got so much love from you guys that it like keeps me going some days. So I really appreciate it. I also got some really cute stickers that are now on my computer and everything. So I got some meaningful love notes and some really great stewardship pieces. See, people sent me all kinds of notes, and it really was meaningful to me. I also made a memorial gift in honor of someone that I work with's father passed away. And I got this amazing letter from the camp that I donated to in his honor. And they even included a photo of him and talked about him. And I just thought, wow, what a well done piece. So thanks for all your love notes and all your samples. We snagged a bunch of them as heroes, and we have a new sample table now at all of our conferences. So we're very excited. But whoever, I mean, look at that. It's the little things that make me super happy. So thanks, April. This one stuck towards my heart. So let's see. Sheila. Hey, Stephen, how are you? Things are going well for you, I hope. Sheila, what is the best way to capture lapsed donors? So Sheila, this is a great question. Understand, first of all, you're swimming upstream. So lapsed donors, we usually can only get about 6% of them back. So it's a really tough battle to get a lapsed donor back. The easiest lapsed donor to get back is somebody who is giving consecutively up until they lapsed or giving loyally. A one-time lapsed donor, get them back is very difficult. The best way is personal outreach. And one of the things that I do is when donors lapse, so after about 18 months that a donor hasn't given, I like to send a lapsed donor survey and ask them, why they left, if there's anything we can do to repair the relationship, what we can do to provide a better experience for them. So reach out to your lapsed donors before it gets too late. But the best way is personal outreach. You're not going to have a lot of success recapturing a lapsed donor by sending them generic pieces that everybody else gets. So, I hope that helps. Great question, Sheila. Arigale says, we're experiencing a lot of political events by students on our campus. Universities are known as places of free speech and learning and spreading their wings. And, that's very common in university campuses. And university campuses have always been safe spaces for students to express themselves politically. It's catching up to our alums and donors. Any suggestions or advice on resources to be better equipped for those type of potentially uncomfortable conversations? Well, this Thursday, tomorrow, Matthew Helmer and I are talking about what to do when your donors don't agree with your diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Not all donors agree with our perspectives. I think for me, the discussion with alumni and donors around those uncomfortable conversations goes back to the history of your organization. And of course, the guy blowing leaves is going to blow leaves right now in the middle of my live because that's just my life. And they don't care. But they have a job to do, so I'm going to be gracious. All that to say is, remember that historically universities have been places of free speech, and that it's not our place to hamper that free speech. And we want to create a safe and welcoming environments for students to peacefully express their ideas and opinions. And so your alumni and donors may not agree with that, but they should agree with the principle of your university being a safe space, and that your university should, encourage free speech as long as it's peaceful and not harmful. They don't have to agree with it in order to allow students the freedom that they're afforded. Intellectual discourse is something that, we're known for. So I also might hearken back to maybe when they were on campus and what was going on politically or in the social and geopolitical climate. Protests are to universities as tacos are to a Mexican restaurant. And maybe not a Mexican restaurant, a Tex-Mex restaurant. I should be very clear there. But do you know what I mean? Like, as pizza is to Italy, like, I don't know, like, to me they go hand in hand, so it's natural. And I think that students expressing themselves is healthy. And so, as long as it's not violent and it doesn't oppress someone else. So I think resources to equip yourselves is talking points, information from your student life departments. Also, you may want to point out to your donors or your alumni that, while the news media's job is to blow stories out of proportion, and so they may not be understanding the reality of it. One of the things that happens a lot of times at our organizations is a news will break or a scandal will hit, and they'll say, "Oh, thousands of people are removing their donations," and this is something we're covering tomorrow. And when I usually dig into the donors who are saying, "I'll never give to you again," or "I'm taking you out of my will," they were never donors in the first place. So also beware of inflammatory statements that may not be attached to reality, because reality apparently is a far gone thing. Yeah, Leah, sending anniversary cards to soon to be lapsed donors. We do donorversary cards or emails leading up to their year anniversary, things like that. It's all really good. What else is going on in your world? What else is pinging on your radar? How are you all dealing with your spring heading into summer? I won't say that we're going to have another surge, but you never know. So it could get dicey here. Josh says, over time, the protests will show the strength of the university and students, and those alumni will remember that. I totally agree. More might give if you have a positive stance or stand. Yeah, look, free speech, right? It's a right. And so love that. Love that. Yeah, that's universities. That's part of our purpose, is to educate and allow people to be educated. So, yeah. So, Lindsay, I'd love some ideas on what to do with first-time donors who fell into our welcome series the first year and made another gift in year 2 or 3. I fear that they're going to be thrown in the pot with everyone else. Oh, but the moment they make their second gift, they're now loyal donors. So then they need to go in your loyal donor behavior, Lindsay. So sounds like you already have a welcome series of first-time donor behavior set up pretty well done. So first-time donors then roll into loyal donors. So that's really what you want to think about. So I really want you to think about what is your, now we're retaining you, now you're a loyal donor, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Does that help? Hopefully you'll have a path there. Great question. Holly, how are folks feeling about fall in-person events in the Northeast? I am going to let your Northeastern friends answer that. I am seeing more of it, but I will say that the way we do events in person has changed. And so I'll give you, Holly, some tips that we're following. And again, you can take this for what it's worth. Again, I'm just one opinion, but I've now been at in-person events in Boston. And then I was an in-person in Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago. I'm trying to think where else. Orlando. Boston was definitely more mask wearing, more non-touching than, of course, the South and the Southeast. Okay, so Julie says at Cornell, they're back in person. It's been okay. Masks are off. The difference for me is space and food. So space and food. Those are the two things that I'm being careful about. For example, in our Chicago conference, thank goodness for Angie Jones, who is just a gem and a friend and I just can't live life without her. But she went around the room and shook the hands and introduced herself to people. That wasn't yet my comfort space. I'm not yet going around and hugging everybody and, shaking hands and doing a lot of touching. It's just not where I am yet. Again, many of you know I've been on a long journey. So I'm still masking on island and stuff like that. So the food service. So I know it's not sexy, but all of our food that we're serving at in-person events is going to be like individually wrapped or individually contained. We're doing box lunches, which, you know what, every now and again, you just need a box lunch so that you can appreciate your life. Yeah. So the way food is served, if food is served, as I call it, in a trough, I'm not eating it. I'm doing individual servings. I'm just a little more careful. And I don't know that I'll ever go back to the traditional buffet because now I realize that nobody washes their hands and they're disgusting. But that's just me. So Julie has shared with us a Cornell University report, a substantial prevalence of COVID-19. Love that. But like gone are the days of past hors d'oeuvres. I'm just food service is a little different for me and my comfort level. So, and then space. So if you are going to have an event, we had an event for, we had like 30 something people in person. Our room could have held 100 people. So I'm doing doubling. So if the space says it holds 50 people seated, I'll only put 25 in it. Round tables that used to be 8 or 10 at round, I'm doing 6, maybe 4, depending on space needs. The big thing that I'm finding, you guys, y'all, everybody, is my vendors don't have employees. So and I noticed this all across the US when I traveled. I even went to Disney while I was in the States. I know somebody who was taking a risk went to Disney. Don't get me started. And Disney does not have staff. Everybody is hiring. So before you think about doing big events, you need to figure out if your caterer has the kitchen staff and the service staff to do the big events. We had a great question in Chicago from a young woman who reduced her event size last year down to 350 from 750. And the right donors showed up and they raised more money and it was just a better event. And there was pressure for her to go back up to 750 this year. And I said, I don't know that your caterer and their service staff can do it. I don't know about y'all, but restaurants, all the worker bees, like there's over 5 million jobs that are open. And it's not just in, McDonald's, like they're paying and they, but I don't know that your caterers and your service can handle big events. So check that thoroughly, because it would be awful if you gathered 100 people and you only had service for 50. So not just physical space, but think about the limitations of your staff. Right, Nikki. So Nikki says our campus is small and our largest rooms could barely contain some of our events. In the past, I just can't imagine cramming everyone in. There's no such thing as cramming everyone in anymore, I don't think. Not if you're going to host the event. You could have 2 events or 3 events. No one says you have to have everyone. And then again, hybrid. I can't tell you how thrilled we are at the hybrid outcome. I mean, we had professionals there at the Wired. And if you're looking to do an event, Wired Production Group, I'm sure Ashley will drop their website, but they are stunningly good. I mean, I didn't know I could look that good on camera. And so I just really want you to think about that. But hire your professionals. Oh, lovely. I just got a text from someone that says that their campus is sunsetting all COVID protocols. They are not in the Northeast. Bless it. They're just going to pretend, I guess. So bless it. Oh, Nicole, you're on. So Nicole was our tech wizard. I owe Nicole dinner. I'm hoping Ron got you the gift card I told him to, but y'all, they just knocked it out of the park. So, I mean, you could just, I mean, it's amazeballs. So, anywho, yeah, I guess some places are just declaring the pandemic over. So, not me and not a lot of us, but yeah, so take your events as you can. I definitely, after seeing travel, the universe is not ready for full speed yet. Oh, Roman, this is a great question. Love this question, and I'm like honored to answer it because I have been there, my friend. So, what advice do you have for managing and putting in position of success an academic leader who's not a natural networker at an event? So, no problem. Our academic leaders come in all shapes and sizes, and we're happy to have them. And so, a couple of things. Number one, do they have a spouse, partner, companion who can help them shine? So I always look to the spouse, partner, companion, because sometimes there's a yin yang in the relationship where, you know, opposites attract kind of thing. So second of all, how do I staff that person? I'm going to staff that person, that academic leader, with two people. I'm going to staff them, if they don't have a spouse, partner, companion, with someone to help carry the conversation with the leader. So the best thing I can do for a leader, hold on, I'm getting out displays, is this is my academic leader. They're always going to have someone by their side to help them in conversations. And we want another person, this is my thank you unicorn pen, we want another person to bring the donor over to the leader. So get the leader set up and comfortable. They don't have to work the room. They can be stationary, and they're going to have someone by their side. And then you're going to bring your donors over one by one, and they're going to open the circle and close the circle. The other thing you can do is you're going to enable or empower your academic with 2 to 3 questions that we know won't fail. So the donor comes over, hi, I'm so excited to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And the person says, well, we're so excited to have you, blah, 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 or whatever they have. And they're going to say things like, you know, I've always been curious, why did you make your first gift to X institution? And the donor's like, oh, this is flattering. Well, a long time ago in a faraway land, this is why I made this gift. And then the academic's going to respond and say, oh, so you have a passion for this area. And if this person is smart, they will jump in and say, yes, Dr. So-and-so, this person has been giving loyally to this area for many years. So seed some questions with your academic. I'm glad, Nikki, you're enjoying my visual here. You know, I have makeup brushes and pens. It's about all I've got here at the desk, and vitamins and stuff. So you're getting it. So this person should help this person be comfortable and should help prompt, but we should give that academic 2 to 3 questions for success that we know are going to be flattering. So maybe they ask the donor, as you look to the future of our organization, what's something that you want me to know or that you want leadership to hear about your thoughts for the future of our institution? Again, could I get your feedback on? Another one would be, have you read, or what was your favorite article in the recent university magazine? Something where they can have a conversation and this person can come prepared with some talking points. The other thing, again, if you don't have a spouse partner, this is your fundraiser or your person working the room. This is your donor. This is your academic, right? They're a highlighter. The other thing that you can do is you can also put together partners and pairs. So maybe their best friend is the provost. So you bring over the provost and the provost, and they work the room as a pair. What you never, ever want to do is this. Unless this person gives you the signal that this is okay. And like their safe word is like pineapple or mustard or whatever it is, but they should be able to give you a signal. because this donor, of course, thinks that they're so important they should have a one-on-one conversation. This person is scared crapless to have a conversation by themselves. Never leave that person alone. Always do this. And then this person's job is to bring back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So they don't have to work the room. They have people for that. So I hope that helps, Roman. But again, you want your academic leader to have 2 to 3 questions, right, that they know off the bat will spark. Where did you, if they're an alum, where did you live on campus? Blah, 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 right? What student groups were you a part of? Blah, blah, blah. What was your favorite memory of your time as a student? And like if they have on their name tag, they're a parent. Oh, tell me what your son or daughter studies, right? So you're welcome for the thank you to all the good pens, and especially the Thank You pen, which has both a daytime and a nighttime look. So in case you want to go from day to night, you just pop your wig off and put it back on. So, okay. I need a life. Okay. Julie says we're running into staff not willing to help at events. Agreed. Yep. And that's their right to put themselves in situations. So, Katie, if you need this pen and you're a ThankView customer, email your rep and they should be able to score you one. You also are probably going to need some otter stickers. I'm just saying that we have the cutest stickers in the history of the universe. So if you get otter on your campus, these are in your future. And we're going to name him this year. And we're also going to have an Otter Year 2 webinar coming up soon. So our little friend there, he's even on the back of my phone. He travels with me. He gives me love. Okay. Sorry, I am easily distracted. As a donor relations coordinator, I'm responsible for responding to the donation. Other than things like the welcome series for new donors and thank you letters for donations, what other ideas are there for a donor relations coordinator? We also have a new donor steward coordinator, trying to differentiate between my role and her role. Laura, I think it depends on your organization. I think it depends on, it seems like they've got you crossed over. Do you have a copy of the 4 pillars of donor relations? I would really maybe split your responsibilities based on the 4 pillars and see if you can divide and conquer with your colleague who's responsible for stewardship. Maybe that would be something you can think about. So, but usually donor relations is an umbrella term and stewardship lives underneath it, like an umbrella. So just something for you to think about there. Not quite sure. If you give me some more details, I'm happy to help. What does a welcome series look like? What does that entail? I'm new in my role and I've not heard of this. That's a first-time donor effort. We are doing a conference in Houston on donor behavior on not next week, the next. But it's basically a welcome series. So they would get their receipt, then they would get an acknowledgement, then maybe they would get a first-time donor postcard. Then maybe after their first-time donor postcard, they would receive, I'm looking around the room because I'm like, I had some communications with me. One moment, please. I have lots of things on my table here. But maybe they get a first-time, I think I have a first-time donor. Yeah, here's a celebrating your anniversary one. Here's one to welcome people back when they've lapsed. So, and you might want to do a thank you, celebrating their first gift, but you also want to include an impact report so they know how their money was spent. All of those touches, because our goal is to touch and to thank donors 7 times before we ask them for more money. And it could be something, my friends at Pause with a Cause send Valentine's Day kisses because they're amazing. I'm trying to find others that, it could be just a simple thank you card. It could be, this is an amazing piece. Look at this, right? So just something to think about there. It could be a handwritten note. Look at this nice one. from the Anglican Relief and Development Fund. Love that. So it could be a lot of things. You could send them stickers, but you don't have to. Again, could be something simple, but usually it's 7 touches before you ask for the next gift. That's your welcome series. So yeah, it's a first-time donor process. Okay, let's see. LinkedIn user, with Easter, Passover, and Ramadan quickly approaching, what are your recommendations for planning events that take into account the needs of diverse constituents? So first thing is that Passover is what I call one of the big 3. So I'm not Jewish. I worked at a Jewish, Orthodox Jewish institution in my career, and I learned a lot. So I think it's the 15th this year. You wouldn't have it on Good Friday anyway, but that's also Erev Passover. So Jewish people aren't going to come. That's for every donor, Laura Mike. That's for every donor, not just first-time donors. So Erev Passover is the night before Passover. Remember, Jewish holidays start at sundown. And so does Shabbat start at sundown. So then you have, all those days of Passover. And so they're probably not coming to your events because they're not kosher for Passover. And so with Easter, Passover, Ramadan, and others, I wouldn't be having events during those times. If I am having events, like I said, Passover begins at sundown on April 15th. Right. It's the Erev Passover. Erev, ERUV, if you want the technical spelling of it. So they probably wouldn't, observant Jewish people would be coming to your events because they're not kosher for Passover. And there's nothing you can do to fix that. Like, honestly, that isn't realistic. Obviously, during Lent, if you're going to have an event on a Friday during Lent, I always have a fish or vegetarian option, because a lot of my Catholics are not going to eat meat on a Friday during Lent. Ramadan, people are fasting, and so they're not going to eat and they're not going to eat at your event. So they may also not come to your event because they may not have the energy. They may be conserving their energy. It depends on the person. Again, all of these things depend on the person. And I think when we think about events, we also need to think about the food we serve. So making sure that there's always a non-pork option. Now, we've gone beyond vegetarian, though. We've gone to gluten-free, ovo-lacto, vegan, but if pork and beef are your only options, that's not going to be a good event for people who don't eat pork or beef or shellfish so we need to be inclusive as much as possible. The other thing that we need to keep in mind is where we have our events and making sure that our spaces are inclusive. So, that's why I don't like having events in country clubs or private clubs. I don't want to have an event in a place maybe that has a cross up or Easter decorations, because if I am Jewish, I'm not feeling comfortable in that space. So we just need to be really mindful of this. And so Passover is one of the big 3. So you've got Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, and Passover. A lot of people think it's Hanukkah. It's not Hanukkah. Hanukkah is not the equivalent to Christmas. It's just sometimes it falls at the same time as Christmas. And so I don't want people getting confused. There are 22 Jewish holidays throughout the year. Many of them, most Reformed Jewish people do not take part in, but the big 3, a lot of people do. And so I remember, I'm reminded now that the big 3 is from This Is Us. And so just, things spiral through your head. I haven't watched any of this season, so I'm going to do it all at once and binge it all at once. I'm currently in the middle of Bridgerton. Don't tell me anything. I'm in the middle of Bridgerton and Lizzo's Big Girls on Prime Video. So I blew through Mrs. Maisel, and there's just not enough Mrs. Maisel to go around these days, people. Just not enough. Great question, though. I think you just need to be aware and observant, and you need to do your best to make it an inclusive environment for everyone. So Again, there are just certain days that I would never schedule an event. So again, timing of events is weird too. So, you know, you have some people, your older donors, that may not want to drive after dark. You know, it's just, there's a lot of landmines, as I call them, where you can be called on the carpet. So, you know, just be mindful of that. So yeah, Bev, Mrs. Maisel, there just wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed so much more. I'm addicted. What else is happening in your world? What else can I help you with? How's everybody doing? What's new and exciting, or what's old and repetitive? I feel like there's someone somewhere just like doing things with pens that I'm not aware of right now. You know, that's what happens when you spend time with me. Ooh, Holly. How can we make the case to leadership to get rid of donor rosters, honor rolls, lists of donors? Well, Holly, good news for you. I have an entire website dedicated to it. I have an entire web page dedicated to it. Also, the data just doesn't pan out. And if you look at the statistics in our Pulse of Donor Relations survey, you know, nobody does lists anymore. You have to understand that they're harmful to your organization. So there's so many ways to make the case. Another way to make the case is to survey your donor base. And instead of asking them if they like being listed in the honor roll, you're going to want to say, is your name on a list central to your making a giving decision? And donors will say no. It's just not a factor in their giving decision. So I have never gotten rid of a donor roster or honor roll and have regretted it. And I've done it at, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 organizations, and I've helped hundreds get rid of theirs. It's just a really bad practice that we need to get rid of. It's also completely elitism. And the big case I'd be making right now is if we truly believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion, then we don't have donor lists. Just like you never have your event in a country club. So a LinkedIn user says, another event question. I always hear that country club are easier to plan on an event than a tent outside. Yeah, but country clubs have been used to discriminate against Jews, Blacks, Indigenous, women. I mean, look at Augusta National. I am not giving my money to an organization that was used to discriminate against me. So the alternative venue is a nonprofit, certain hotel spaces, anything that's neutral. But yeah, I don't believe in giving my money to places that discriminate. And when you give your money to that place, it says something about the organization. So Katie's like, I've gotten rid of them at 2 orgs. It took a fight, but then now no one remembers it, right? Like, it's like these donor walls that we haven't updated in 2 years. You know, nobody's crying because we haven't updated them since the pandemic. Well, that means they're not important to our donors, because if they're important to your donors, you'll hear about it. Julie went to where I go always. It doesn't represent the DE&I efforts of your organization at all. If you claim to be supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, then a list is exactly the opposite. Everyone should feel welcome. And so, Joel, it sounds like your board chair is from the 1940s. Remember, women make 76% of the giving decisions in America, either jointly or with a spouse or partner. And women give collectively and collaboratively. Men give competitively and comparatively. So I'm assuming that your board chair is probably a man. And again, that's a dangerous assumption, but it's a hunch, and wants to compare. We don't do printed books of lists of donors that get mailed to everyone. That's not, think of all the things we could do. We could do impact reports. We could talk about giving. We could do so many things that we don't need to do a list. And same thing that Holly's asking about with giving societies. Like, this is not the Gilded Age. Oh, the Gilded Age on HBO. That is some good stuff. It even has an episode on charity. So good. Oh, this was old henna, by the way. I'm okay. It's just old henna. My dad was like, "What's that? Freckles?" And I'm like, "No, it's just old henna. I got henna done at Disney." So fight your board chair. Let your board chair know that while you appreciate their advice on fundraising practices, you're going to stay in 2022 and you're going to do modern fundraising practices, not antiquated, elitist, like groupings of donors that don't matter. So, yeah, how do you make the case to rethink your giving societies? Same way. And we even had a webinar on that, Holly, that Matthew did. And so I highly recommend taking a look at that. But we as nonprofits need to lead the way. And in terms of equity and inclusion, we are not supposed to only worship at the trough of wealthy people. And so I find it offensive that the only way we can fundraise is if we list donors by amount and then group them in groups together, even though they have nothing in common. So we have to be able to do better than that as an industry who's supposed to lift up those who are underprivileged, underrepresented. Like, we can't be speaking out of both sides of our mouths. We have to do the work. And I don't think yet we're doing the work in our industry. I read that CCS report that I cut and pasted. Like, people are not changing, like, how they build their donor pipeline, how they recognize their donors. We have to lead the charge. Otherwise, we're going to end up with the same 40 donors, and then our pipeline's going to run out because our organizations aren't attractive to young, diverse people. If you keep doing the same thing or you return back to antiquated processes and practices, you're going to get the same result. And that's just not what you want. You want to grow and move forward. Hi, Janet. You are struggling with printed versus electronic impact reports, and which is more likely to be read and appreciated by donors. I feel like so much is being sent electronically that donors may have a greater appreciation for printed reports. Well, Janet, I think it depends on who your donor base is, but if you're not thinking digital mobile first, I don't know what to tell you. That really is the number one. Video is actually the best way to deliver impact. Video is the number one communication method these days. It is. So maybe you do a test, but see, here's the problem with print. You'll never, ever, ever know your results. You're never going to know if somebody opened it. You're never going to know if somebody interacted with it. Whereas digital, you can track it. You can do follow-up behaviors. So if you are not thinking video, mobile, digital first, I think you're losing the battle. And you may not be doing video in a way that resonates. I mean, 30 seconds or less. Nobody has time. You know, I've been watching basketball recently. So I live in a place where all my TV is streamed. I don't have cable. We have it, but we don't. It's a weird thing on island because when we have it, it's all British TV. So I can't watch March Madness. So I stream March Madness and there have been commercials and I'm like, oh, right. Commercials, because so much of the video I consume doesn't have commercials. So again, mobile and digital. Now, there are times when print is absolutely appropriate and you can do things in print that you can't do in digital. But also I can mail you a video card. I mean, I just think that we need to think more progressively about who we are as organizations, and we need to buck our own. Print is not dead under any circumstances. Print is not dead. Boring, crappy print is totally dead. I have an example of something that should have never made it. I'm going to try to protect the innocent here. I received this as a printed sample. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? Hold on, let me cover this up to protect them. I cannot click this. I cannot click paper. What the hell? What am I doing? Print. No good. Print here. Like, put a QR code. Do something. But what am I supposed to click on? Come on, you guys. You know that like 10 people reviewed that. We got to be able to do better. We have to let go. We have to let go. Yeah, Janet. ThankView. I'm telling you, ThankView and Otter. Tracking is everything. Metrics are everything. Got to embrace it. We've got to embrace it. And again, also remember that for those of you in the United States, our mail systems still aren't up and running very well. MAIL, not MALE. Mail, our postal mail, isn't still there yet. Lots of things are slow. So, great questions. We started the day by asking what was your favorite app, either work or personal. There are even apps where you can create handwritten thank you notes and have them mail them for you. I have never used one, but I hear they're cool. But don't forget that 94% of people, when they are watching television, have this device in their hands. Not mine, but someone. Fiona, do fundraising thermometers work? Well, the visual of a thermometer makes me think of COVID, to be honest, right now. So do fundraising, you mean like that measures the campaign success? Do they work? Meaning, am I supposed to look at that and say, well, I'll fill the gap or fill what's left? Or my question would be, do they work? What's your goal with the thermometer? What do you want me to do when I see it? Because if you show me a thermometer right now, I'm thinking, who has COVID? And I want the thermometer that beams on my head. I don't want to put it in my mouth, right? Yeah. Okay, Julie. Yes. A giving day. I still wouldn't do a thermometer, but I'd do a measurement. For a time challenge, sure. Absolutely. Fill the bucket, do the whatever. I don't think I'd be doing a thermometer unless I were at a hospital or nursing or something medically related. Again, how times have changed. I now look at Lysol in a whole different way. But if it's a time limited thing, yes. If it's an 8-year campaign that you're raising $4 billion, what is my $50 going to do to that thermometer? Right? So again, I think we have to think about this in context. If you're doing something in a short amount of time, maybe you could do something, but make sure it's themed. Make sure it's appropriate and make sure it's updated. There's nothing worse than when I go on campaign websites and it says progress to goal. And then it says updated as of June 2019. And I'm like, what happened? Lenore, oh, you're so kind. You are the second person today who went on our 4 Pillars live from Chicago. Thank you so much. It was already asked, but that's okay. We are not doing live DX until we get a couple of them under our belt this year, maybe this fall, maybe 2023. We have to contact our partners at Wired Production Group and see if they'll have us too, because we put them through their paces. I don't know. The guys are probably overwhelmed, although I did feed them really well. So they probably want nothing to do with me right now since we worked them so hard. But we have our business meeting, our annual business meeting next weekend. And we are always looking for ways to thrill and delight you and bring our content into your environment. So we're working on it. Give us some some inspiration and some grace. So thank you, Lenore, for the kind words. Diana, let's see. Interactive website for your campaign, thoughts? Yes. An interactive microsite? Yes. Video being the majority of the content? Absolutely. Absolutely. Video should be 70 to 80% of your content on your website for a campaign. Look at, is it 20? Let me see if it's still as good as it used to be. If you want to see an amazing, what I think is an amazing microsite that's just filled with good content, the Los Angeles Olympics is fantastic. So la28.org. Mwah. That is what a website should be. I mean, I dream and drool over that website daily. Like, it is just really good. I'm always going to be honest, Catherine. I have nowhere to be but myself. When working on, hey, Erica, when working on new initiatives, when do you bring in your stakeholders for input? Do you bring them in the beginning or develop an initial plan to react to initial real life challenges? Nope. I never bring in other cooks in my kitchen. I show them. So, I compare this. I don't have children, but here's what I've heard. You never, ever ask your kids what they want for lunch, because they will be like, sprinkles and grapes and lemon juice. And you're going to be like, what the hell? I don't have those three things. You're supposed to say, do you want peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese? So I always deliver to my fundraisers and partners pie. They can have blueberry pie, they can have cherry pie, but they're going to have pie. They don't get to then tell me, well, I wanted cake. I wanted, blueberry buckle. I wanted, no. You're getting, so you don't get to come in the ingredient phase. You get to come in because we're the experts in stewardship and donor relations. And so I don't go to them and say, now, how are you going to meet with this donor? And how are you going to ask them for support and things like, I don't do that. Right? So they shouldn't do that to us. And no, Shannon, it is never bad to have sprinkles for lunch. And I am craving a cupcake so bad I could hurt somebody. They don't have cupcakes on island much. They have lots of cookies and sticky toffee pudding, but I could die for a cupcake right now. So when will the sample swap be available? We recorded heroes out of the ones that we received, Lindsay, and that video content will be streaming on our social media soon. So Roman wants a Netflix deal done to have a documentary series called The Fundraising Guru. Honey, you do not want to see the behind the scenes of my world. Behind the scenes of my world are Shannon and Ashley and the team trying to keep me. Oh, I am a mess. Let's just say it takes a village, and my village is patient and kind and calm, and they're wonderful people because I am a lot to handle, Roman. Let's just put it that way. And the world's always changing, and my brain, I said it in my book a long time ago, T-Rexes versus Kangaroos. I have been blessed and cursed with a mind, my brain is like a blowtorch. It doesn't shut off, and when it's on, it's on. So sometimes that's great, and sometimes that means you take a lot of melatonin and it doesn't work. So I love what I do. I'm happy to have all of you who, everybody wants me to do a podcast. I'm just going to keep showing up on We Are for Good's podcast because they have it figured out. We Are for Good is amazing. And I'm starting a new pro plan with them. So how are my parents? Oh, I wish I had good news. My mom and dad, so my dad just turned 86 last week. Happy birthday, Dad. They are not feeling well right now. So I think they either got the stomach bug or something, but my parents have been down and out for 3 days, drinking Gatorade and not feeling very well. So if you pray, they're fine. They're not in the hospital yet. but they're not doing so hot. They haven't eaten in 3 days. So if you send well wishes, just think of my mommy and daddy. They're not doing too well, and it's really tough to have the stomach stuff at any age, but the 80s is really hard. Like, they are not having a good time, and I think they keep drinking too much water or Gatorade, and then it just doesn't sit with them. So they're not doing well today. And so I've been stressed about that. So, but thank you for asking. They were doing just fine, and then things took a really bad turn yesterday. So, but I am checking on them every 2 hours. So that's about what I'm going to do, is text my mom and see if she's okay. So my mom got it worse. So, but thank you all for coming to our live. We're going to do live next month in the middle of the day, because we want to encourage a lot of our British folks to join us. Our England crowd is going to join us, and we are going to do it in the middle of the day. I can't remember the exact day because I've lost my. Now you got me thinking about my dad. Sorry, my mom. But we're going to do it middle of the day, because we're going to England in July and doing a conference there, hopefully. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here. And if you need anything, reach out to info@donorrelationsguru.com. Thanks so much.